Good morning, everyone. It is Saturday. It's time for our Saturday summaries of last night's action, and we had a couple of really good close games, and a couple not so much. Okay, let's get started. First game of the night, Motor City, going just a little bit north up to Port Huron. Another episode in the battle for I-94, and it is a 5-1 victory for Motor City. Initially, when I did previews yesterday on YouTube, or excuse me, on Facebook, I thought, Port Huron should be able to take care of business at home. And then about an hour and a half later, news came down. Tucker Tynan was in the IR, and Mitch Jones was on the IR, and it was like, that changes the dynamic, and boy, did it. So, all right, so first period, nothing. It was a stalemate between Babin and Wallace, the goaltenders of the night. But in the second period, Motor City got things going, and as what often happens in the Fed, goals come in bunches. So yeah, we had Tristan Wells scoring at 5:49. We had Jamison Milan. He scored at 13:49, and then 15:17. Scott Koash. It's 3-0, and yeah, you could just tell after about the Koash goal, it looked like Port Huron kind of lost their mojo. In the third period, Josh Colton scores 2:39, so it's 4-0. Jameson Milan scores again on the power play. And this goal was a little special because this was set up on a nice play by Danny Vanderweel. So it was good to see him get it back on the board after everything he's been through. He's back, set up Milan's goal, and there you go. So the game's pretty much over. For pride's sake, Port Huron gets one on the board from Austin Federley, who's been their best player over the last 3 weeks. And there you go. It's a 5-1 final. Milan with the 2 goals and an assist. Scott Koash, a goal and assist. And Babin, he stood tall. He had himself a good night, 33 saves. And Wallace stopped 24 of 29. So Motor City improving now to 21, 12, and 4. Port Huron, they cool off a bit. They're 19, 14, and 4. Crowd of 11-10 announced on hand. This was one of the games that I watched more of. I was flipping back and forth between all the games, as I always do, but this was the game that I was concentrating on. Blue Ridge Bobcats and the Elmira River Sharks. And this was a tight game. First half of the game, it's a goaltender's duel. It's Connor Green standing on his head. It's Sammy Bernard standing on his head. Fantastic end-to-end action. Great offensive pressure by both sides. I mean, the game was a well-played game. Finally, Elmira manages to get on the board. It's Kyle Powell on the power play at 12:22. And then not even a minute later, MJ Merkel gets on the board from a sharp angle. And so it's 2-0. Coach Zemlicka, he takes his time out, try and get the boys kind of collected and gathered, and they settled down. So yeah, later on in the period, Danny Martin scores for the Bobcats. So it's 2-1 going into the third. Again, very well played game. In the third, it's Zach Tattern getting on the board, his second of the year, at 7:04. And then halfway through, Blue Ridge starts to get themselves into some penalty trouble. Penalties would really plague them throughout the last 10 12 minutes. And so they end up shorthanded 5-on-3. David Gaeta scores on the power play, and that's your difference. Blue Ridge pushes at the end, but again, they get themselves into the box and pretty much snuff out the chance for a comeback. So 3-2 is your final. Blue Ridge is now 10-21-3. Elmira improves to 14-23-0. Announced crowd 1785. I don't know why the league fudges numbers. Probably more like 1,200 at hand, I would say. But anyway, the game is very well played. Again, Martin with a goal and assist for Blue Ridge, and Connor Green stops 42 of 45. So the loss is not on him. Meanwhile, Gaeta with that game-winning goal. Stephen Klink also had a couple of assists. And the Sammy Bernard played very, very well, stopping 34-36. Elmira looking to get back on the winning track. In Watertown, another really, really good game. Danbury and Watertown taking on each other, and usually, these two guys get together, and there's a lot of goals. Not last night. We had Trevor Lord scoring on a power play at 2:31, getting the puck past Connor McCollum. In the second period, it's Johnny Ruiz, Mr. Hat-trick. He scores at 3:58 on a 5-on-3 power play. So it's evened up. Tate Leeson scores just an absolute beautiful dangle, toe drag, deke, all those adjectives you want to throw in there. Tremendous move. He puts Watertown back up. And so it's looking kind of rough for Danbury. Watertown keeps barring the door, but Danbury finally gets on the board at 18:54. Final period. It's not the final period. It was the third period. Johnny Ruiz again scoring. It was a power play goal with Connor McCollum pulled. So 6-on-4 goal. And so we had the overtime, and in the overtime, Danbury got a couple of really good opportunities, but Elwa Bouchard ends up barring the door. And finally, it's Vladislav Pavlov scoring at 1:31 in. And there you go. It's a 3-2 overtime win for the Wolves, who got 44 shots on goal. McCollum played very well, as did Bouchard. So Ruiz with the 2 goals. McCollum stopped 41 shots out of 44 opportunities. Pavlov with that game-winning goal. He also had an assist. Lord also with a goal and assist. And Bouchard, 35-37 with saves. So very good. It was a packed house in the Watertown Municipal Arena. 1420 in the announced crowd. They seat 1,500. So yeah, Danbury now they're 17-15-4. And Watertown improves to 12-20-4. Of course, Elmira won, so Watertown is still looking up, but Watertown does have 3 games this weekend as opposed to Elmira with 2, so we'll see what happens. And then there's the game. There's really not much I can say about this game. 11-1. What can you say? Poor Bailey Stevens. There's a goaltender I really feel for. In goal, gave up all 11 goals, and it was just total domination. It was polar opposites taking on each other in this game, and it wasn't fair. In the first period, started off kind of slow by River Dragon standards. Goals by Justin McDonald and Nolan Slaheda. They outshot Baton Rouge 15-5 in that first period. In the second, it's a disaster. It's Kirk Underwood. It's Pietrangelo. It's Bersani. It's Pietrangelo again. It's Daw. It's Carson Andreoli. It's 6 goals in the period. And so happy group of 2682 fans watching the game in Columbus. But so in the third period, Baton Rouge, they managed to break the shutout, get rid of the goose egg, goal by Josiah Rowan. He ends up putting the only puck past Colgan on the night, but then Columbus counters with another two from Ryan Hunter and another one from Austin Doe, and it's 11-2. It was tough to watch. It was really tough to watch. So we're on with the goal. Stevens 36 saves, surrendered the 11 goals, but I mean, what are you gonna do? Baton Rouge needs to figure things out because, right at this point, it looks pretty bad. I'll admit it. It looks pretty bad. Austin Doe, 2 goals and 2 assists, as Ryan Hunter also did. Colgan stopping 21 of 24 for the win. Baton Rouge 7-22-4. And Columbus now 29-3-2, winners of 14 straight. I don't see any reason why it doesn't become 15 tonight. It is what it is. Final game. This was another good one, and I was really surprised that A, the game was this close, and B, that the shots were as low as they were. Shots on goal for the game: 22 for Carolina, 27 for Mississippi. This was a defensive battle on both teams, and I know it's like an oxymoron. You say Mississippi in defensive battle, but it happened. Dustin Skinner gets his first win in his debut with the Seawolves as head coach. Goaltenders for this game were Cody Karpinski and Joe Shepard. Not a lot of goals in this game. You had Keplinger scoring first in the first period. Carolina gets out to the early lead. Shots were only 9-7 Carolina in the first period. In the second, this is where Mississippi took control of the game. Everything hinged on the second period. Mississippi gets goals from Dalton Anderson at 8:21, and a minute 9 later, it's Nelson. I don't know why I said that yesterday. Lariakos. It's Yanni Lariakos. Somebody tell me, do you know Nelson Lariakos? Why I had that Freudian slip? I don't know. Okay, so yeah, Lariakos scores, and that's the game winner. No goals the rest of the way. Both teams really dug in, and there just wasn't a lot of open ice or flow, and Mississippi hangs on. They clogged up the passing lanes. They clogged up the neutral zone. They did a great job, and they get a very, very sound 2-1 victory. That was a thing that really impressed me. Is it wasn't your typical Mississippi loosey goosey game where there's tons of goals and tons of end-to-end action, tons of odd man rushes. This was not that game. Very, very surprising. So yeah, 2-1 win for Mississippi, who improves to 18-17-2. For Carolina, they are now 25-9-1, and a good crowd on hand too. 3476 in the Gulf Coast Coliseum. And Karpinski stops 25-27. Joe Shepard, fresh back from the IR after a long stint there. And he gets the win, 21 saves on 22 opportunities. And there we go. So that was my surprise of the night, really, the way that it turned out. I thought the Motor City win, I thought that game was going to be closer. Blue Ridge, Elmira is what I expected it to be. Danbury, Watertown, I expected it to be close, but I thought there were going to be more goals. This was what I expected it to be, unfortunately. But yeah, this was a nice way to end the night. So there you go. all these teams play each other again tonight. So let's see what happens in round 2. Have yourselves a great day. We'll catch up with you again later.